Now this is just about as close to paradise as you can get. Now let's start with why we are all here. This is by far one of the most picture-perfect beaches I've ever seen in person in my life. And apparently a lot of other people do as well, because Sunset is packed with people posing for Instagram. I swear, golden hour, there were more phones than people at times. The reason it's so clean there is there are actually a lot of workers and volunteers that show up to the beach early in the morning to clean it daily. They pick up all the seaweed and the debris that flows in. For me, I went running every day, sometimes twice a day if I could help it, because one of my favorite things to do on vacation is to go for a run. And I know waking up at 5 or 6 a.m. during what's supposed to be a vacation or workation sounds kind of strange, but that is the best time to enjoy as much as the beach as you can to yourself. By 6:15, 6:30, there are a lot of people out there walking. Not to say that it's crowded, it's just the vibe is a little different. Also, if you are a swimmer, going for a swim in the open ocean in the morning is also really nice because the water is so calm. It's not like swimming in most open water where you have a lot of waves and you drink more than you wanted to during your swim. And before we move on to everything else Boracay has to offer, gosh, let's just look at that beach one more time. It is so picturesque. I do want to note that from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. local time, you do not want to be on the beach. It is so hot and you will just fry. I don't think there is enough sunscreen in the world to protect you from that sun. I actually looked like a really silly tourist walking around with an umbrella midday because it was so hot. Now, when it comes to food options in Boracay, there are a lot of great restaurants and a lot of great options, and unfortunately, most of them were closed or seem to be gone for good for obvious global reasons. So I'll do my best to give you the short version of what was actually open, and we'll kick things off with breakfast. Now, for us, we stayed at Hennan Crystal Sands, and we had a really nice buffet breakfast. They rotated enough where you could stay there a week before you started to see repeat main dishes. Now, when it comes to coffee, I like coffee, but I'm also really cheap. So I brought my own decaf coffee sachets. But if you are one of those people who's looking for your special mocha latte, whatever, then there is a cafe in D Mall called Lemon Cafe, which is a pretty safe bet to start with. They have non-dairy alternatives, and my wife kept asking to go back, so I assume it means the coffee was good. I would not recommend paying for a latte at Hennan though, because 2 gulps and it's gone. For shakes, the best place on the island is called Johnny's, not to be confused with Joni's, the hotel with a restaurant called Maya's. I was actually walking along the beach and I saw a sign that said Joni's and Maya's, and for some reason I thought Joni's and Johnny's was the same thing, and apparently it is not. Although Maya's is a great place to get some work done. That became kind of my go-to coffee shop style place from about 9 a.m. to 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That is a great place to go, just get some work done. They do have one seat with a plug in the back if you need to charge your laptop, and the breeze comes in really nicely. But around 12:30, you're going to want to go back to your hotel room because the breeze will disappear and the sun will come out. And since your island trip would not be complete without knowing exactly where to find the best shakes, here is a complete list of the different places that we tried and rankings of what shakes we found to be the best. Now, a little tip here. Number one, I would not recommend getting the shakes from the hotel because they were really sweet and the value compared to the other places just wasn't there. Number two, order banana or order mango. And that's it, because the other flavors are either going to be powdered or they're going to be some sort of combination of sugar and canned juice. If you like that, awesome. But if you're looking for an actual shake with real fruit, then go ahead and make sure you stick to mango and banana. I am apparently in the minority because I like banana and not so much mango, but mango is the big popular one. Now for lunch, I am a huge pizza guy, so I'll admit it, I pretty much had pizza for lunch every single day I was there for 3+ weeks straight. Now, most of the time I would just order room service because they rotated cooks, and so the pizzas that I would get from Hennan Crystal Sands, Meat Lovers, and the Carbonara pizza was pretty much different every time we ordered it, and it was only $10. Now, when it comes to the best pizza on the island, Two Seasons, their 4-cheese pizza and their sisig are the absolute best. Quick tip at the end of this video on how to actually get it delivered to you if you want it more than once. But if you went to one restaurant the entire time you were there, I would highly recommend going to Two Seasons. It was absolutely phenomenal. Now, when it comes to the rankings of pizza, you might not care as much as shakes, but here is a quick rundown of the pizzas that I thought were the best, ranked from best to worst, of course. And quick note on Station X, they actually would have taken the second spot, but their pizza was super chewy and doughy. It was like pizza plus gum or something. So I don't know, they just took it out of the oven a little too quickly or something. But there's the rundown of pizza, and unfortunately, I can't tell you anything else about other food because that's pretty much all I had. Shakes and pizza and breakfast buffet at Hennan. Now, when it comes to what the best hotel is to stay at the island, I am definitely not the person to ask because we stayed at one hotel the entire time, Hennan Crystal Sands. And while I'm up for being adventurous and trying new things, I'm not up for having to take a PCR test every other day when I want to switch a hotel, even though I'm already on the island. So that was one of the main reasons we decided to just stick with one hotel. I'll get to the stations in a moment. Of course, timestamps below. So when it comes to Hennan Crystal Sands, we stayed in a premier room on the 3rd floor overlooking 2 really long pools. The room had plenty of space and, most importantly, a desk for me where I could set up and actually get some work done. If you like swimming laps, those 2 pools are great. They're somewhere between 70 and 80 meters long, and because of the shadows from the hotel building, you can actually swim in them in the middle of the day and not get burned to a crisp. Great way to work up an appetite for, well, more pizza. Then there's a pool that overlooks the beach with a bar in it, which is a fun spot to chill or make some new friends. And speaking of alcohol, part of our trip, alcohol wound up actually being banned for sale across the entire island. So while I can't speak to whatever the rules or regulations or travel restrictions are by the time you're watching this, definitely if you enjoy any sort of drinking on your vacations or workations, make sure you check with the hotel that there aren't any sort of those bans. But when we were able to purchase alcohol, it was $2 for domestic San Mig and then $4 for things like Heineken, which is considered imported, obviously. And after that, I can't tell you what the drink costs were because that's pretty much all I drink. Now, when it comes to stations, officially the Boracay Beach front or boardwalk is divided into 3 stations or sections. The entire beachfront can't be more than 4 miles long, as it was really easy for us to walk both ways in a day. Not that I would recommend doing that because it was so hot. So here's a quick rundown of the stations. We stayed at the very edge of Station 1 or the beginning of Station 2, depending upon who you ask. And as a general rule of thumb, after talking to several other people, and of course experience from experience for myself, is Station 1 is more the quiet, relaxing. It's not as quiet and relaxing as going to one of the private resorts where you literally can't go anywhere other than the hotel, which is a different part of the island. But there you're going to have beaches that have a lot less people, and mainly that's because you'd have to walk at least a half mile to get to any sort of restaurant or bar area, although most of them were all closed anyway. So station 2 and 3 are a lot more happening. So if you're looking more of nightlife and you like going out and trying lots of different restaurants and want to have more of a energetic, outgoing atmosphere, as opposed to I'm just here to sit on my laptop, have some shakes and chill for a week or two, station 2 and 3 would be the place to go. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't quickly bring up station X. And this is something that has been marketed to marketed to entice and attract foreigners to check out something called the Hue Hotel. So Station X is not actually a station, contrary to what you may have seen in some other YouTube videos or Instagram. And so this is a hotel that you'd actually have to drive to. It's pretty far removed from the other 3 stations. We actually tried to walk to it. That was that one day where we walked at least 1.5 miles and we still couldn't find it. And that's because while inside the Hue Hotel, or Station X as they call the building, the pool is awesome. They have a really great area to just kind of relax, and you can actually get a day pass through a local app called Klook. It's kind of like Living Social or Groupon. I would not recommend actually staying there because you're going to have to drive everywhere else that you'd want to go to, and you'd also have to get a ride to the beach, as it's not exactly safe for foreigners to just walk around and try to go to the beach. So definitely a day trip, but not a place I would recommend staying. And now for the part that every digital nomad needs to know: internet. And if you were wondering, is it really that bad, or is it really that good? It kind of really is that bad. So you are going to need to show up with your own connection. So you're going to either need a SIM card loaded up with Globe or a SIM card loaded up with Smart. Those are the 2 kind of major carriers here. There's some other ones. I actually tried one called Gomo, and I do not recommend them at all, even though they have really good pricing. Number one, the way they counted my data, I went through 15 gigs in like half a day, whereas when I do the exact same work on something like Smart or Globe, I only spend 3 gigs. So however they charge you or track your gigs, it's 3 or 4 times the amount that I'm used to with other carriers. And the debit card I used to refill that particular SIM card wound up being stolen within a week. And because I hadn't used it, I only used it for that one. I think there might be some security issues there. Or someone just had my card for over a year and then decided to use it right after I purchased through them. So here, of course, is some information on what the hotel Wi-Fi was like and what the Gomo Wi-Fi speed was like, and then, of course, what Globe was like. Globe was the most consistent, and I actually got better connections when I was either hanging out at the hotel breakfast buffet or when I was at a place like Maya's, because for whatever reason, being on the beach, I would actually get faster internet than inside our hotel room. Obviously, I can't have meetings right on the beach. It's a little noisy and it doesn't look too good when you're trying to be professional, but the hotel Wi-Fi was fast enough at night, once everyone went to sleep, to upload all of my videos. I definitely wouldn't do anything when you have to show up live and do something professional. All of our Google Drive applications, watching YouTube videos in 720p, and some Google Meets did just fine. And that was my experience as a digital nomad in Boracay. All in all, I would definitely go back and try it again. So comment below with any of your questions, unless they have to do with travel restrictions, in which case I will have no idea because they are always changing. Now, a couple quick tips. Number one, definitely if you're staying there for more than a week or even a few days, try and befriend a couple of e-trike drivers, because they will actually be able and willing to go grab you food, because there's not actually any delivery on the island right now. So have someone in your group who's friendly and outgoing, which was not me, that was my wife, and she befriended a couple of e-trike drivers, and that's how we were actually able to get some of the restaurant food delivered to us. Of course, you do need to have cash because you do have to give them the cash to go get the food, and you can trust most of them with that because they really do want your business. Tip number 2, Hennan Regency has a great dinner buffet. Hennan Crystal Sands, where we stayed, breakfast, awesome. Dinner buffet, it was kind of lacking. Although it's hard to know whether or not they were just because they were on a skeleton crew. Some of the staff were working like 15 or 16-hour shifts back to back. It was just crazy. They worked so hard. So thank you to all of the Hennan Crystal Sands staff for making our stay so amazing. I would go back to the hotel just for how nice the staff was. But when it comes to the buffet, Hennan Regency has the really good buffet, especially if you like steak. And then finally, if you've watched any other videos about Boracay, you may have heard about the pedaling, and that really is a big thing. You will walk 5 or 10 minutes and you will be offered hair braiding, jet skiing, sailboats, snorkeling, massages, beach bags, everything under the sun, pretty much every 30 to maybe you go 90 seconds without something being offered to you. And all you have to do is say no thank you or no thank you, Paul, and just move on. You don't really have to engage or talk every time someone offers you, and they're not going to be upset or get angry when you just say no thank you. And I know that can be a little jarring, especially for my fellow Americans who we're like, this is not something that's we're used to as part of our culture. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. Comment below with any of your Boracay questions, and until the next, keep building the business you love.